name is Alan Cole. I work for the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, where I run their global maritime crime program. 2/3 of the surface of the world is covered in ocean, and that ocean space provides an excellent venue for the conducting of transnational organised crime. It is not subject to a strict jurisdiction as the land, and criminals have increasingly come to understand that the oceans can be used to conduct maritime crime.
According to our law, we have to board your ship.
The principal maritime crimes that UNODC currently addresses will be the smuggling of migrants by sea, trafficking in persons, the use of the seas to move heroin, cocaine, and also firearms and terrorist fighters. And all of those maritime crimes are to be found in various places around the world. UNODC's Global Maritime Crime Programme grew out of UNODC's response to Somali piracy, and that began in 2009 when member states invited UNODC to come up with a strategy to tackle Somali piracy. And the strategy that was developed was to tackle the crime right through the length of the criminal justice system, to support those naval forces that were doing the arrests, to ensure there was a fair trial process, supporting both the prosecution and the defence, and to ensure that the conditions in which suspected and convicted pirates were held were up to international standards. And that continues to be our approach to other maritime crimes, to make sure that the whole of the criminal justice continuum is supported in tackling maritime crime.
Understand?
Yeah.
Well done, guys. Well done. Index.
I think there are a number of features of the Global Maritime Crime Programme that are perhaps unusual across UN programming. Today we have some 20 experts deployed around prisons, police stations, Coast Guard stations around the world, and they have particularly good effect in delivering change in a way that you cannot do through short-term training courses.
Put on the life jacket.
And secondly, I think it would be our recognition that a young man who is the owner of a boat and a gun and who is involved in one sort of maritime crime, if you suppress that maritime crime, he may well indeed move to another type of maritime crime. So that too has been one of the key parts of our approach, that there's no point in bearing down on one maritime crime if you're not prepared to reinforce the maritime law enforcement community in most widely to make sure that it can tackle all maritime crimes.
This building is the Supreme Court Annex, and it was given to us by the UNODC.
One of the aspects of the Global Maritime Crime Programme that we're all the most proud of is our ability to provide a full range of assistance. There's little point in talking about improving the efficiency of a criminal justice system if the court has no roof and there is no prison. So over the life of the programme, we've built 8 courtrooms and 6 police facilities, and provided over 2,000 prison places by the construction of new prisons or the renovation of prisons. And in doing that, we have provided our member states not only with the training and the management skills to run these facilities, but also the physical conditions in which a human rights compliant justice system can be operated. One of the reasons that the Global Maritime Crime Programme is so involved in prison work is that we have to accept the nature of our work is that we cause the arrest and prosecution of usually young people, particularly young men, who are then detained away from home in prisons in a completely different culture. That makes them particularly susceptible to violent extremism. And for that reason, we've extended our programme with our colleagues in the Justice Section of Vienna to make sure that where young men particularly are placed in foreign criminal jurisdictions, that we have the very best opportunity to make sure that they don't either radicalise other prisoners or become radicalised themselves. In that way, UNODC has developed a great body of expertise on preventing violent extremism in the prison systems. Well, terrorists have been quick to understand that the seas offer an opportunity both directly and indirectly to support their work. By that I mean that directly terrorists will use the seas to move their fighters and their weapons and their explosives because it's easier than moving through airports. The volume of material that goes into ports is so great that it's extremely difficult to find a small number of items or people. But also indirectly, in that the heroin trade, for example, across the Indian Ocean, the trade in charcoal out of Somalia into the Middle East are 2 examples of illicit trade that funds terrorism. So the seas offer an opportunity not only to move terrorist materials, but also to operate maritime crime networks that can fund terrorism.
I think if we could ask the prisoners
What activities do they want?
To have an impact in the complex environment of maritime crime, it's really important to build up a solid relationship with our member states, and that has to be done over the long term. And the fact that we've been able to place our trainers and mentors into our member states for upwards of 5 years in some cases means that we've built up a body of experience of the challenges that they face. And also a very good understanding of what sort of interventions will make a difference and help them to suppress maritime crime.
How many people live in one house like that?
As we move forward, we would continue to build that expertise to make sure that whether the support that's required is the longer term mentoring or the delivering of infrastructure or the delivering of a strategic vision to tackle maritime crime, that we've got the right people to be able to do that anywhere in the world.